today we are going through Genesis chapter 16. This is the story of Hagar, Sarai, and Abram. In this chapter, it has been 10 plus years since Abram had heard the blessing that God gave him, that he will multiply his offspring, that he won't even be able to count it. So it's been 10 plus years. Sarai is not pregnant. She offers Hagar, her servant, to her husband. Her husband doesn't reject that idea, and he sleeps with Hagar, and she gets pregnant. And when Hagar gets pregnant, she looks down with contempt at her mistress, Sarai. Sarai gets really upset by this. She blames Abram. She gets mad at Abram, and Abram's like, do what you will with her. And Sarai sends Hagar out, and Hagar, as she's wandering, she's going, we believe she's going back to Egypt, is what we think she's going to. And the angel stops her and says, where are you going? Go back to your home. Go back where you were with your mistress. I am going to bless your offspring. The Lord sees you. He hears your cry. It's an incredible story, but the part that I want to focus in on is what Sarai and Abram and their decisions, what it caused and what it did in their household. Sarai, I can only imagine a shame that maybe have come over her because she's barren, because it's been this many years. I'm sure a part of her is like, I'm getting older in age. Abram's probably thinking the same thing. We're getting older. Our bodies physically are getting to a place where we are going to be unable to have children. I'm sure there's a lot of things going on in their minds saying like, well, maybe we have to do our part. Maybe God spoke this blessing on us and we've got to do this. I'm sure we've all done that even today. Like, we're believing God for something. We know God's promised us something, but we begin to think in our minds, well, maybe I'm supposed to act out. Maybe I'm supposed to do this. And it wasn't unusual that Sarai would give Hagar to her husband. Sometimes that would be done back in that time, that to give their servants and to have their children. So in her mind, it's like, let me do this. I mean, we'll do this, and the child that Hagar has, it'll become our child, and we'll raise him up and he'll be blessed. But I want to show you what happens here when we act outside of God's will. We don't see that Abram prayed about it and said to Sarai, hold on, let me pray about this. We don't necessarily know if Sarai is the one that was supposed to carry this child, but usually Abram is a man of prayer. He would go into prayer about it. We don't hear about that. He's probably out of desperation, feeling the same way. Let us do something to be able to have this child, to be able to fulfill this promise, like God needed help fulfilling the promise. Let me tell you that God does not need our help to fulfill the promise that he has spoken to you or to me. He is faithful to complete and do everything that he says he's going to do. Because they acted in their flesh, because they acted out of this desperation, it caused disorder in their home. It caused chaos. It caused them to argue. It caused them to get into this place like, do whatever you want. It's, even Abram's like, I don't know, just do what you want. And she sends out Hagar and puts her out in the street, out in the wilderness alone. When we act out in our flesh, when we go outside of God's covering, and we do things out of our own mind, our own will, it is going to cause chaos and disorder. It's unnecessary chaos and disorder. We know we're going to go through things in this life, but let us go through it in the will of God, not outside of his protection, outside of what he says. Seek him. If you're in a place of desperation, you're feeling, oh, I need to see something happen now, wait on the Lord. Let's learn from Sarai and Abram in this story to wait on the Lord when he says. When you go down through the chapters, we know that she ends up having a child. She ends up having a child when she physically, from the outside, cannot have a child. God performs this miraculous, amazing miracle in her life that he can only get glory in. So wait on the Lord. Don't act out of your flesh. Don't act out of desperation. It is worth waiting on God. I hope this blessed you. I'd love to hear what you received out of this chapter.